Travia Fitzpatrick. I'm so excited to get to actually dialogue with you about all this work that we've been doing for here.
Yes.
And I want to say thank you to you straight out the gate because you've been a motivating force for me when I started to get mired in how many details and hard work is involved with really piloting and making a really good curriculum. So thank you for being a partner with me and really being a force function to get this out into the world. And your conviction has meant a lot to
Hmm.
me.
Well, thank you to you too, because this has been transformational in my life. It's been so much fun to work with you and your vision for the world, your vision for Sidewalk Talk, and your vision just for people and your care has been transformational in my life. So thank you, Tracy.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. When I met you, so I have to be honest, I sometimes think of you in my mind. So this is a silly thing that I do, but I'll go, how would Travia respond to this? I do, because I feel like you live your values very concretely. And one of your values is really having people feel an incredible sense of belonging in the workplace in particular and safety in the workplace. Where does that come from in you? Like, what has gotten you so juiced up and convicted about changing the workplace for people?
Hmm. hmm Well, I think I'll go back to my childhood. So I was actually born with a hearing loss, which means I have a bilateral hearing loss. And so I actually got by most of my life just reading body language, facial expressions, uh, attitude behind the words, because I didn't hear everything people said. In fact, school was really, really difficult for me because teachers would turn their backs all the time, right? To write on the whiteboard and they're talking
Right.
and I'm like, what are they saying? So I'm not actually an auditory learner. I learn by doing, which is why I excelled in music and sports. um, so that was really hard for me growing up, and so I could really read the meaning behind the meaning by watching people and feeling people. And so when I got older to the workplace, I just realized how poor we were at communicating. And
Mm,
I remember being really frustrated with this one workplace incident that happened. And my friend, his name is Brady, and he sat down with me and he just listened
mm,
unconditionally with no judgment. And like every listening session, it wasn't like a formal session with friends, but every time I had talked to someone, it was like a sense of judgment, assumptions, jumping to conclusions, or telling me what I should do.
mm,
And this person was just like there with me. And I remember this one line I said, I think I made a mistake.
mm.
And what he said back to me was, you might have. Now what? And I was like, what do you mean now what? I was like, what do you mean now what? I was like, you're not gonna sit here and vent with me. What do you mean now? It was such an empowering question.
Uh-huh.
But the attitude behind the listening just absolutely changed my life.
Mm,
And shortly after, I had heard about Sidewalk Talk. And I was like, yes, I have to get involved in that because what he did for me was unlock something that was something I didn't know that was there. It was this sense of, uh,
oh, I love that.
this sense of wanting to really, for more people to have this skill. I thought people were just born with this skill. And
Mm.
when you say sometimes how would Favor respond, I sometimes would say how would Brady respond or how would
Uh,
Elizabeth, his current wife, her name was Elizabeth, and they were just friends at the time and they got married. It's beautiful, but I'm like, how would they respond? Like they're kind of like my spiritual mentors, because I thought you were born with this skill. And the
mhm,
thing with Sidewalk Talk and list and here has made me realize that anyone can learn this if we can
mhm.
learn how to hold that space for other human beings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think you and I have shared stories about how kind of surprised we've been, both sitting on the sidewalk, listening to strangers, and then taking people through piloting here. Because even after sitting in a therapist's office and doing psychotherapy, I still feel shocked and surprised at the power of listening. And I know that you do. But what do you think is unique about what we're doing here at Sidewalk Talk? And I'll weigh in on this too, because I think it'd be good for other folks. Because there is something unique about what we're doing here compared to regular old listening training. What's your take on that?
Hmm. Based on the impact that people have said after the training, it's really about the cultivating the inner resources that we need to listen. Most people think it's about the outward listening. So eye contact, body language, responding. But they learn that it's actually an inside job. And so they walk away. Like what I really love from here is seeing how the numbers go up in measurements in terms of their ability to do something and their effectiveness in terms of their ability to calm themselves down when they
Hmm.
get stressed out. You know, that's one of our key measurements, right? Is can you calm yourself down after you get angry or upset? And I think what I've been hearing from a lot of people in this political climate, just how angry they are, how upset they are. And so here really gives them the ability to be centered and calm. But I want to hear what you think is unique too, because I want to hear your perspective.
Well, I'm going to riff on what you said about Brady, because I think, for Brady to come and hold space for you and then say, now what? I feel like I've learned a lot of intellectual humility, because for me to really be there with somebody else, what I have to cultivate inside is a complete not knowing. And the human animal doesn't like not knowing. We like to have the answers. We like to feel like we're helping people. We get really anxious when somebody's distressed, so we want it to go away really fast. And what Brady did is he's like, I don't need Travia to feel better right away. She can be upset. I have the inner resilience to stay calm, to really honor her and hold a certain level of respect for her own inner intelligence, and to ask a curious question on how she's going to handle this problem rather than joining in the big vent session, which we know doesn't make people feel better, you know? So for me, I guess the inner, like you had said too, I've never found the active listening stuff. It's so behavioral, and you can fake it and not really be listening. I posted something recently that how I know that I'm really in my centered self, which is here language for those that watch this, um, is when you can change my mind.
Mm.
That's my moniker. If I am in a state where I am so surrendered to really understanding you that you could influence me and change my mind.
That's
So that's
powerful.
the thought I'm having.
Well, one of the things you might not know, Traci, is here has actually impacted my marriage. You know, it's like every time after I do a training, I'm more centered and more centered. And it's shifted the way I communicate with my husband. You know, in the past, I used to sit down with my husband, you know, at dinner or at lunch and just start talking about something that's important to me, right? And expecting for him to be ready to listen empathetically, you know? Um, and you know, after the training, and I would actually get offended when he wasn't ready to listen, when he wasn't ready to
Yeah.
hear me, right? And get empathetic. And I'm like, you're not empathetic enough, right? I'm like, well, you know, my language has shifted to, hey, is now a good time for you to receive me? Is now a good
Mhm.
time for you to listen to me, for you to hear me out? And he actually started thanking me. He was like, thanks for asking. Now's not a good time,
Ah,
but he was like, now's not a good time, but let's talk right before dinner so I can
mm,
be present with you. It's just that permission. It's like made a huge, huge difference.
yeah. I'm with you on that actually. Same thing. After we're done doing the pilots, the whole thing about the nuance when you're in your centered self, you can sort of think of all the context around a person, so you're not being judgmental and making all kinds of assumptions about them. And so when my husband comes down, he's like, I don't assume, oh gosh, he's going to yell at me for not doing the dishes. I'm like, hey, you don't actually know what's going on with him. You could just ask, right? And not personalizing
Yeah.
when he starts to share. If I personalize it, then I can't really hold space for what's going on with him. And that's all centered self stuff that we work on in the hair training. I think that's I think that was one of the feedbacks we got from one of the corporate teams, didn't a group of people say they were taking it to their home
To their
too?
homes. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah, everybody can see the relationship between their personal relationship and their work relationship, which is really the beauty too. It's not just applicable to one area of your life, it's applicable to any area of your life, which has been really exciting.
That's awesome. Well, part of why we're dialoguing, aside from how it feels lovely, is we want people to be transformed because we want to impact the world. And February 3rd is the actual first live meeting, although you'll get access to the training material that's pre-recorded ahead of time so that all the live meetings are juicy and fun and friendly and connective, because we need a lot of that right now with all the social distancing. But we want to let people know about it so that they'll sign up. And tell me a little bit about what you're planning and what's going to happen. So people come together on Wednesday evenings, is that right?
That's correct. They'll come together Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll spend an hour doing some fun activities, connecting, and taking what we've learned and putting it into action and getting to know one another and having a really nice time connecting and bonding with each other.
Which we know that's actually how you create any change. This is the thing that's hard about all these online courses. Nobody ever finishes them. And this is the way that you're like, you're going to do it all, because you're going to get a little tiny mini video. And even if you don't do the video, you'll have some cliff notes. And then we'll get together and you're going to practice it all in community but while making new friends. And that's how we know people change behaviors, when they practice it in real life and feel a bunch of new stuff. So I think it's super cool that you're structuring it in this different way based on the feedback that we got from our last pilot.
Yes, yes, I think so too. And I think that, watching the lessons and then being with other people who can hold you accountable, having a challenge during the week that can get you motivated and excited to apply it. And then you have to come back to a community and get, that's there with you to lean on for a shoulder it's really going to be a fun time. So I hope people sign up. I
Yeah.
look forward to meeting so many new people and going through here together.
Yeah, I'm excited too.